Let's jump into it. Welcome everyone to another quarterly update from the Nordic PropTech Initiative. My name is Magnus Svantgård and I'm the host for this event. And very, very quickly for the ones who haven't listened to this type of webinars before, the Nordic PropTech Initiative was established in almost 4 years ago. It's really to market the PropTechs in the Nordics and to create a network. We are not an association, and we are super happy that nowadays there are associations in each of the Nordic countries. I think that's the best way going forward, without any doubt. This is just my night job. My day job is being partner at Stronghold Invest, who invests in real estate service companies, but also PropTech companies. And my background is I've been in PropTech industry for 20 plus years, mainly as the Chief Product Officer for Tasha. But enough with me. I'm super happy to today have a panel from Norway. It's Henrik. From Denmark, it's Jakob. From Sweden, it's unfortunately not Roger. He has to call in sick this morning, so I will fill in for him. And from Finland, we have Tasha and Taru. And then they will give a presentation very, very soon about themselves. Then we also have a guest speaker of today, as of today, and that is Nicholas Samaris, who will be presenting and discussing about PropTech One and the VC world going into the Nordics in a few minutes. But first of all, let's start with a short introduction from each of the panelists. So take it away, Norway, and Henrik. Who are you?
Hello, just a short introduction. My name is Henrik. As you can see, I now have a daytime job in a law firm and work with real estate and real estate transactions. But we also founded the PropTech Norway many years ago together with the tech community here in Norway. And for the past years before I started this position, I worked in WeWork. So I worked with establishing it in the Nordics and in the Netherlands. We represent the Norwegian PropTech community in our association.
Cool. And Jakob from Denmark.
I'm Jakob from PropTech Denmark, where I act as a hub director, and that is actually my daytime job.
Cool, that's good. And from Finland, we have Tasha. Let's start with you.
Hey, I'm Tasha. I'm a co-founder and a community director for PropTech Finland, and I have been the producer of our main event TrackTech for years almost. This is not my day job, but I'm envious, Jakob. But I'm very happy to introduce to you our new board member, Taru.
Yeah, thanks, Tasha. So hello, everyone. My name is Taru Laurila, and I'm the new board member of the initiative in Finland. I'm working at Concrete as a marketing manager. So basically, we're operating in Finland and Sweden, and part of the SmartCraft company group. And I'm here. It was not that quick introduction, but really happy to join the initiative here and discuss and meet you guys and learn more about the trends and insights and everything. So really happy to be here.
Cool. Welcome both to the panel and PropTech Finland and in the Nordic PropTech scenery. So Roger, if you could do a short introduction of him. Roger is the head of the PropTech Sweden and the founder of PropTech Sweden, but unfortunately he had to call sick early today. And quickly, Nicholas, just a short introduction who you are, and then we put you on mute for a few minutes.
Absolutely. So yeah, Nicholas Samios, my name. So I'm one of the co-founders of PropTech One and managing director there. And what we are basically, I will talk to you in some minutes.
Cool, you're very welcome. So before we jump into the different countries, maybe it's good to have a quick overview where it's actually happening, especially on a global scale when it comes to the PropTech scene. It's for sure super hot. There's no question about it. There is a M&A firm in US that produces a US focused PropTech report that I really think everyone should read. And just a few highlights from that report. It was just released. They quote continues to accelerate the investment in the PropTech market. They have never seen as much of activities since they started tracking this market 4 years ago. And quite interesting, I think, is the M&A market. There have been quite a few deals during this year, and of those, 90% are driven by strategic companies in the property industry. And I think that's an interesting notice to take from an exit perspective. Another proof point for this is Ben Lerner. I'm pretty sure quite a few of you know him. Nowadays, an M&A running an M&A company from London called Lerner and Associates, and he posted this in a WhatsApp group. It's extremely hot market. Ben is, by the way, involved in most of those when it comes to US/UK, especially when it touches the property management system market. So if you need any input from him, just contact him and say hi from me. And I will say it's the most active numbers of PropTechs there ever been. Those are our internal numbers within Stronghold Invest, since we track the PropTech market, not just for investments, but also to be used among our more classic real estate service companies. And I reckon there are 600 plus active PropTech companies in the Nordics that include both B2B and B2C and all different stages. So there's for sure a growing market without any question. And especially, I mean, the crowd listening in here is both PropTech companies, potential end users or end users of PropTech solutions, and also investment companies, investors in the PropTech scene. For the PropTech companies, I really want to point out that there are today quite a few ways to kind of show off your product and what you're doing. And especially there are two of those contests where you can do this, because the best way to do it is in front of the audience of end users. One is Nordic PropTech Awards. So for the first time, there will be a Nordic PropTech Award during this year, and I'm super happy about that. And I'm pretty sure you, Jakob, could fill in here a little bit.
Yes, thank you for mentioning this. The Nordic PropTech Awards is established, owned, and operated by the Nordic PropTech Associations present here today. So really what we want with this prize is to celebrate and showcase the best promising Nordic PropTech solutions. We will have different tracks you can apply for. And as you said, Magnus, important part of this is to be showcased towards the end users. That will say the property owners, the property operators. So there will be strong juries within each track, only consisting of experienced real estate people from the end users. You also get a membership of the Nordic PropTech Association as prize winners. So there are really many benefits in this. There's a web page, but you're also more than welcome to contact any of us sitting here today for more information. We'll have a deadline coming up in September, in the beginning of September for applications. So just go in now and start your applications. We really hope to see a lot of Nordic PropTechs applying for this one.
Thank you, Jakob. Yeah, it's a really good thing. I really look forward to this one.
Me too.
And on a larger scale, of course, there are the MIPIM ones and the Property Europe ones that can keep in mind, where we have quite a few Nordic presence. For the ones that are focusing on the Swedish market, I'm more than happy to market the Business Arena, the event, the largest event on Swedish soil when it comes to end users of commercial real estate and the investors and the agents and the builders and so on. And some law firms too, Henrik. This one is Swedish though, so they established last year a BA Tech Award. So if you have a PropTech solution, or are you an end user like a property company or consulting firm in the more traditional property industry, but you can showcase a cool digital project, you're more than happy to nominate those companies to 2 different awards at this event, and it's held in mid-September or end of September here in Stockholm. It's a massive event. That said, let's jump into probably the most interesting part of this presentation, besides the PropTech One discussion and presentation. This is about the deals and fundings and PropTech news in each of the markets, and then in the end we wrap it up with information about the associations and events and so on. But let's dive into the different countries and what has happened the last couple of months when it comes to startups, deals, and so on. Let's start with Finland.
Thank you, Magnus. And even though summer is traditionally a very slow period and nothing happens much except some vacation activities, still we have some news. And I want to start with the news from our dear members. Our member 720 degrees actually becomes more and more Swedish now. The majority of their shares were acquired by Swedish company Svantgård, and the investment will be completed in August. No amount attached to that, I don't know how much money. And Codit did the opposite thing. They bought the Spanish startup called Lucas, and it's more like strategic deal. Lucas will help Codit to increase their share in the Spanish market, and Codit will help Lucas to develop their product. So again, no numbers here. We have more and more international VCs here. Our icebreaker invested almost $1 million in a Swedish company called Accurator. This is the company which makes SaaS tool for purchasing in construction industry, for purchasing managers in construction industry. And we have a new VC called Caranto, and focusing on built world, as they announced on their website. Actually, their website was launched just a couple of days ago. So if you're interested in that, you can go and check the caranto.vc. And Taru, you have some other news. Can you please continue from there?
Yes, I do. And thanks, Tasha, for the good wrap up. So basically, there is the new incubator in Helsinki called Urban Tech. And that's like a super cool company in such a way that it is basically all about sustainable construction and like green technologies, and they have lots of like energies and so on what they offer, and basically helping cities to tackle with the issues that what they might have regarding like urban living and basically about sustainable issues. So that's like really nice stuff what they do. Then I have another news. So there's the Bob W, which is expanding to Madrid in Spain, and that's like a really nice, this kind of like a shorter accommodation, like hotel type of living services what they provide, very high quality and everything. So they're expanding to Madrid. So that's really nice, and lots of like sustainability in their mindset as well. So yeah, this was for Finland. Does Tasha has anything to highlight or add?
Yeah, I think that's about it, except the date. We will have a local meetup for Finnish community in on September 17th. So that's for another part of the meeting, but I just wanted to start with that, so we remember.
Yeah, cool. Seems to have been busy the last couple of months in Finland. When it comes to Sweden, I will jump in since Roger is not here. Without any question, and quite an extensive last few months, especially around the last mile delivery companies. And in quite a few of those races there have been, for example, Botten is a newly startup based here in Sweden. They have raised 1 billion Swedish crowns, so roughly 100 million euros, on putting out those last mile boxes just next to the entrance to multifamily and office properties. Nice, worth mention there is that there are quite a few real estate companies or real estate owners that have put in money in those races. Following the office and need of office and the future of office, one can see an increase when it comes to occupancy and footfall measurements. For example, Bambi Labs have been around for quite a few years, I would say 10 plus years, managed to really grow their business during this year and raised a significant round of 21 million Swedish. Myrspoven is an AI company in the AI maintenance part of the sector, and they raised 50 million Swedish crowns. And behind that deal is one of the biggest property owners in Sweden, Rutger. He's the CEO of Klöven and soon also Castellum. But he did this through his private company group called M2. There's also an interesting trend to see almost Big Facta, which is a data company collecting information and data about construction sites and who is building what and who is a supplier of windows and so on. They actually acquired a media company called Fastighetsnytt. Lokalnytt. I wrote that wrong. Lokalnytt. And that's a media company and also a listing service for office to rent. So it's a slightly new segment for those guys. But everything is around the office and the use of office. So it's been a hectic few months in Sweden without any question. So over to Norway.
Yes, thank you for that. And there's also a lot of activity here in Norway. The PropTech market is really hot. One of the main things to mention is that major companies like SoftBank have been coming in and acquiring some of the largest Norwegian companies. You know, a lot of these tech companies, and one of the biggest deals was, of course, AutoStore, which was bought for 40% was bought for 23 billion Norwegian kroners. That was kind of crazy for us to see. They AutoStore, they make robotics for storage and which has been really hot in the latest part. So this has been kind of major shift, and now these companies like SoftBank are looking into a lot of things here in Norway. And you can also see a big tendency that international VCs are finally kind of looking into this Norwegian market and also are targeting PropTech more specifically. Just a short backdrop. When we kind of 5 years ago, a lot of the PropTech companies was always acquired by the real estate companies. So Spacemaker, for example, their first investors were like traditional Norwegian real estate companies, which of course is good because they test the product out. It's a solid product. They want to be part of it, but they are not that interested in the scaling part of it. So I think this will have a major effect on the Norwegian market. And you can also see a Norwegian marketing real estate company, Marketer. They have started the collaboration with DNB, and now they have actually received 100 million Norwegian kroner funding, which is also pretty major. There's very much many interesting things coming out of the Antler program. That's amazing for us to see. That Space, Place, Modelize, Mice, like all these companies, you can check them out later, but there's a lot of companies coming out of the first two cohorts of the Antler program here in Norway. And also the major landlords in Norway are really looking into co-working and these kind of situations. Entra, which is the largest landlord in Norway for commercial real estate, they open now at 27, or they're opening next week 27,000 square meter co-working in middle of Oslo city. So that's gonna affect the co-working market pretty hard. And then you also see Ferd, one of the biggest investors here in Norway, are collaborating with Arkwright X to look into PropTech investing. so just recently, yesterday, Future Home, which is a smart building company, said that they would try to raise at least 100 million Norwegian kroners. I don't think they have started, but it says a little bit about the kind of the ambitions for these companies. So one of the bullet points that was I think Magnus left it out of my presentation there, but Dimension 10, a Norwegian VR company, was also acquired by Varja, which is a Finnish VR company. So a lot of things happening here in the market, a lot of activity actually. So that's very interesting to see that all of these great products are now finally being recognized and getting the money they need to scale even further.
And I could jump in there too, talking about Norway. A field I follow with great interest based on my background is everything around property data. There was quite a massive deal in Norway when the Norwegian state sold Ambita to a listed IT company. And it would be super interesting to see how that works out. So it's pretty much, a part of the land, old land register that was sold out to the private market.
Yeah,
that would be very interesting.
That's going to be a very interesting move, and a lot of these other companies, a lot of companies are looking into real estate data, and it's like Newsec Maps, for example, have their own service that's been well received in the market. And you also see a lot of companies have this more sustainability, environmental front to what they do. That's kind of the take on it. I saw Sjur Usken wrote there in the comments. He runs Clever Air, which won actually Jonas the award in Germany last year for one of the best PropTech companies in the built environment. But they are making companies save a lot of money on their energy bills, and that's kind of, I think that's some of the ways to go as well. I'll see a lot of the companies that are doing well also have this side to sustainability, which is also, of course, good.
Yeah, and another deal I've seen talking about competitors in the property data field was the Visma, the large Nordic IT supply company, actually acquiring Create Solutions, which is a data company, and I'm not aware that Visma have invested too much in data companies, so to say, more IT processes tools for sure for many years.
Yeah, and there's a lot being said about these kind of awards as well. Now, of course, we have awards coming up here in the Nordics as well. But if you think about the Built World awards, which Jonas and the others have worked on, they have like Spacemaker a few years ago, Dimension 10, which has just been acquired. You have Clever Smart Plants, Dimension Disruptive Technologies, which are also doing well. All of these companies have 4 or 5 years ago or 3 years ago won this Exporeal competition and attracted international capital, and then done well after. So some people say that awards doesn't really have a big effect, but I think just to lift up a few companies and generate interest is a goal in itself, really.
Oh, absolutely. I think it's, but you need to do it for the right reasons. Maybe you don't find too many end users as potential customers through those large awards, but for sure recognition, and you can use the marketing, and you can also boost the morale internally within the company. So I absolutely think it's a good idea.
Yeah.
And if it's also just in front of your potential end users, it's perfect.
Yeah,
so
that's from Norway.
Last country in the deals update, Denmark.
Thank you very much. The first one on top is that NREP launches a tech venture, 2150. It's NREP that initiated. Of course, there are many other investors on board, it's it's going to be, or it is already now one of the biggest VC dedicated PropTech VC funds in the Nordics, based in Copenhagen. Of course, also has offices in London and around Europe, but based in Copenhagen. It's very exciting to see their journey here. They are only looking for to invest in PropTech solution, context solutions, digital solutions within the built environment to support and enhance sustainability. So I think that's a very exciting move. And many of you are probably already familiar with NREP, which is already in the Nordic, represented in the Nordic markets around. 2150 as well as NREP are both members of PropTech Denmark, so we have a close dialogue with them. So exciting news, I think, for the Nordics to have a really big VC fund leading the way to sustainability here. Of course, they're not only looking towards the Nordic for investments, but I think it's a possibility for us that we are so close to them. Then I have mentioned some others here. Larger one, there's a lot of business angels and investments going into Danish PropTech right now. I've not mentioned all of these. These are quite small ones, of course, also interesting, but I've mentioned some of the bigger ones. I think interesting is that Maps people raised 85 million Danish kroner on an IPO on the Nasdaq First North. This is the first PropTech company in Denmark that does this. And I'm quite impressed that they could raise 85 million. I don't know if you know Maps people. It's indoor maps. So what they came from was basically wayfinding indoors. But I think the reason why they could raise such a big amount is a future where they look into their maps actually just being the platform, and what they're going to enrich these maps with building operation data. So they're really looking to collaborate with other PropTech companies in kind of building, easy findable, easy maneuverable digital twins. So combining wayfinding with building operation data, I think is a big potential. Then Spiri, I think, is also interesting. Raises 70 million. Spiri is actually a platform and a e-mobility charging provider. And they're focusing on property owners and property associations. I think it shows a tendency in the market where the charging, the whole e-mobility things goes from being this smart city things to actually going to be a PropTech solution that is very closely connected to property. So I think that's also a very interesting trend in the PropTech market. We also have another company, Monta, which also is a platform for charging that also has raised a lot of money. Then Cameo is here. Actually, Cameo is a Nordic one. So I don't know where the money ended. But Cameo is also in Denmark and has had quite success with their investment platform here in Denmark. I guess they are also at least active in Sweden and Norway, as far as I know. And I actually think that this investment was a Swedish one. I don't know if you can help me there, Magnus.
It was one of the really large and great entrepreneurs in real estate that invests also quite a lot in tech.
Yes, and you have put Proper also on. Actually, I think that's an old one, so I didn't put it on, but I can mention it again. Also a very interesting one. Proper is basically what they do is they automate property management, but it's a full service. So it's not like a software as a service. It's actually a property managing company that has developed their own software. So it's a software based, and basically this is what they have is the software, but it's a full service company. And what they can do is they can offer quite high quality automated property management for even small property owners. So this is also revolutionizing the market for small property owners and small you can say entities of property management. And then I think also very interesting for us is I think we are really having a catch-up effect the last half year after COVID seems to be going down, especially in the Nordic countries. Everything seems to be under control right now. We see so many Nordic PropTech companies going into the Danish market, contacting PropTech Denmark as a stepping stone to that. We're really happy to see that. just to mention some of them that we're seeing active in the Danish market, of course, Spacemaker, Instabox, Bob W, Solid True just seems to be going in right now, and many others. It's very nice, I think, to see these Nordic synergies.
That's super great to hear about the other Nordic companies going to our neighboring countries. It's for sure could be slightly easier and start your internationalization that way, to start to learn how to scale outwards. Cool. Thank you very much for this deals update from each country. Now let's move on to the guest speaker. So Nicholas from PropTech One, take it away.
Thanks a lot, Magnus. So thanks again for having me. And basically, this is a very great opportunity to say hello to the Nordics ecosystem, and this is exactly kind of my agenda. Yeah. So we are originally from Germany. So we started PropTech One as a fund beginning of 2018 as one of the first kind of mainland Europe funds purely focusing on PropTech and construction tech. Until today, we've done 10 investments in 10 portfolio companies. We did more investments, so we support these companies over several years. So for example, in Simplify, I think we already invested like 3 times. So we try to be a stage agnostic partner for seed to early stage part. Typical ticket sizes that we write in the first check are something between 100k euros, 200k euros, up to 2-3 million euros. And we still then can support at least like 100% plus in follow-on financing rounds. So let's say stage agnostic, early stage leaning. We don't have any sector focus, so I'll show you the areas we're specifically interested in, but we're broad PropTech construction tech fund there. We have a rather large team, so we have 12 people operationally. We have another 12 people extended team that includes many venture partners that are previous CEOs from the industry. For example, the previous CEO of JLL Germany is part as a venture partner, the previous CEO of Credit Suisse Real Estate as a venture partner, and so on and so forth. So I think there's a very good mixture of serial entrepreneurs, venture guys, and kind of former executives from the industry. And we try to be very helpful with the portfolio companies. If you just turn the slide, Magnus. So 3 areas that we're specifically interested in is, of course, the overall topic of digitization or digitalization of the industry. We still believe that pretty much in all aspects, all parts of the value chain, there is still tremendous potential for clever startups. So it doesn't matter if it's planning, buying, constructing, selling, operating real estate. So there's still room to grow. And we've invested in several companies there. So I won't go into the details here for the sake of the time. The second topic we have is customerization or convergence of business models. Think of renting out a flat 5 years ago, or an office. It was just an empty space and you do a 5-year rental contract. These days are gone. We now have so many new kind of hybrid models where you rent out a flat. So for example, like the Bob W model, which is kind of somewhere in between hospitality and kind of modern furnished apartments. So we also invested in platforms like that. Wunderflats is, for example, the market leader in the German-speaking markets, now going international. Desana is a Scottish company already active in 41 countries in the kind of co-working space, so aggregating co-working spaces from around the globe. So we are also, of course, very bullish in these kind of new models where traditional real estate business models are kind of disrupted or at least substantially changed. And last but not least, so the sustainability area, or I use the term Greta Tech, sometimes on social media. So you all know what's that about. So we're very interested in kind of technology that helps the industry to transform into a sustainable future. And that also means not just kind of doing some data-driven business analytic things. It also means that you have to get physical. You have to get your hands dirty because there is existing real estate that needs to be transformed. So for example, EcoWorks is one of the thought leaders in Europe for a serial modernization, net zero modernization of existing real estate. So that's obviously a topic we all need to solve. Otherwise, we all won't be able to keep the Paris climate goals here. Next slide, please.
Before I switch to the next slide, just one comment here for the attendees. If you want to do a question in the Q&A, you can just put it in the Q&A section of Zoom, and we will forward most of the questions to Nicholas in a few minutes. There we go.
So I took the slide out kind of from our deal flow statistic, because I think it's generally maybe interesting to see how kind of the machine room of a VC works. So every VC kind of has something like that. I don't know if everybody shares that, but we're quite transparent here. So you see that until today, we had more than 1,000 investment proposals. And these are only PropTech construction tech companies from Europe. So if somebody's offering us farmland in Ukraine, we don't count that in that statistic. So it happens, but so it's not inflated. So that's the real numbers. And out of that, as I said before, we did 10 deals. We're just now executing number 11 and 12. You see in the donuts here that it's pretty much the full spectrum of sectors. And if you look at the geographical part, this is maybe the most interesting one here. You see that we have 18% out of Nordics. So that's, let's say, 200 companies already. I think that that's a good number to start. So if we compare that with Magnus' chart before, so we still have 400 companies that we don't know. So we are very happy. Yeah, if you contact us as a founder, or also if you're a business angel or some kind of other investor and want to do co-investments, so we're very happy to share ideas and share deals here. And so this is basically the reason why we're here for. But we will regularly publish these statistics and some other learnings we have kind of on our website. So we try to be pretty transparent here. Next slide, please. So we did a study on the European PropTech ecosystem. You can also download that then on our website. And this is the chart on the left is borrowed from that study. And you see just from the numbers that the Nordics region is, unfortunately, not kind of top 1 or top 2 speaking in the volume of funding, but the number is quite high of the transactions. So this 313 is kind of the transactions that happened in the last 5 years. Yeah, and I think the cutoff date for that study was whatever, beginning of 2020. Yeah, so it's like 1 year old. So you see there is, just from the numbers, there's a lot of action. So a lot of companies get founded, and there is also some local funding, but maybe the larger rounds are still happening in UK or mainland Europe. And of course, this is also the idea. So we're interested in startups, especially if they're kind of going to the next step. So you're already active in at least one Nordic market, and then maybe you want to go to mainland Europe or to UK or elsewhere or something. I think they're a very good partner to join. So this is why we're also very interested in partnering with the seed stage investors locally, kind of sharing deal flow, because I think it's a joint exercise between all the different kind of investors you have across the lifespan. Next slide, please. And so also completely in line with what we already heard. So events and accelerators, etc., are good places to meet investors. So just to show that what Magnus told you is right. So that this is a slide from the other side. Yeah. So we are also, of course, actively involved with different activities here. So for example, Danske Bank set up the Impact Plus Smart Cities Accelerator program. So we're part of that. We're contributing at different things like Oslo Innovation Week, Tech Barbecue in Copenhagen, and so on and so forth. We're also now a member at PropTech Denmark, and enjoy the hospitality there, and also at PropTech Sweden. And of course, exactly what's happening here. So kind of aggregating the Nordics, in one format. This is, of course, kind of a dream for any VC, because you know yourself that kind of having people on the ground in all the different Nordic markets is pretty much impossible for a small VC. So the more kind of there is a pan-Nordic perspective or platform, that absolutely makes sense, I think, for everybody involved. And so basically that I think was the last slide. So if you just turn around, you see my email address, and I'm very happy if you have kind of any kind of proposal. So if you're a founder, if you need funding, or if you're a seed stage investor, please feel free to drop me a note. So we will be very interested in getting to know you. And also some of my colleagues, for example, are just now, as we speak, on the ground in Stockholm and Oslo. Thanks.
Perfect, Nicholas. Thank you so much, and thanks for the pitch to actually organize those webinars from a Nordic perspective. So I'm opening up to questions from the panels to Nicholas and also from the audience. And I can start off. Being traveling from the Germany and the DACH region, what would you say is the biggest difference, or is there a difference coming up to the Nordics and meeting either LPs or potential investments?
I think one thing that strikes you if you visit some events, talk to some people, is that in some Nordic markets, for example, just to taking the example from a recent Copenhagen trip, you are at an event where kind of the three major pension funds are on stage, and not just the head of something, but even the CEO, yeah, the main whatever founders out there, the main associates out there, etc., in one room. This is something that might be normal, yeah, in whatever Denmark or Finland, but this would be impossible in a market like Germany, for example. So you will never reach the pension fund guys, yeah, and the decision makers. They will be hidden behind 20 firewalls, yeah. So I think this is a chance, and I know that it's similar, for example, in Switzerland, where we already did some deals. So the smaller markets usually have the advantage that it's easier maybe, yeah, to start new stuff where you really need a buy-in kind of from the full stack in a way, yeah. And I think this is a very interesting opportunity. So maybe therefore some trends emerge earlier, yeah, in these markets than they emerge in the larger markets, and of course transferring that knowledge might be interesting, yeah. Of course, there are also, I think, differences. For example, if we talk about Greta Tech, so the ESG regulation driven stuff, some countries are more advanced, so they will do incentives and penalties, maybe whatever 2, 4, 5 years earlier than some other markets, yeah. So to develop a solution in these areas that are driven by regulation, it's of course always interesting to take a look kind of at the global or at least European map and find kind of the early adopter markets, and then maybe transferring these learnings to the other countries, yeah. And so this is basically why we're so interested in building a pan-European platform. Yeah, I think there's plenty to learn across all these markets, and I'm a true believer that a really successful startup needs to have at least a European perspective these days. Yeah. So also we're competing against China, we're competing against the United States. So the more Europe is unified in that effort, the better for everybody.
Cool. No, good learnings. Anyone from the panel? Any question for Nicholas?
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, Tasha, go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask Nicholas, what's, in your opinion, the main reason behind the statistics that Nordics have so large amount of companies, but so little money invested in them? Are we having like too many early stage startups? Like, from your perspective, what's the reason behind this?
Having a large number of young startups, first of all, is nothing bad. That's a very good sign. Yeah, it's a good sign that you have entrepreneurial culture, for example, right? That it's not nothing strange, yeah, if somebody goes the route of entrepreneur, yeah, and this is maybe also something that you get encouraged, yeah, from society at university and stuff like that. So that's very, very good. On the opposite side, I think, for obvious reasons, as you said, so until maybe 2150, there was no dedicated larger PropTech fund, at least in the Nordics. The markets, the local markets, don't have the size of a UK market or a US market or a German market. Yeah, so that segmentation kind of maybe is a barrier, yeah, for large investors, larger tickets. Yeah. So I as an anecdote, yeah, so I regularly see founders from Finland coming to either London or Berlin, yeah, to raise their A or B rounds. And so let's say from a local perspective, of course, that might feel like a disadvantage. But at the end of the day, if we kind of together play a European game, it doesn't really matter. Yeah, it works. Yeah, as long as we do that dialogue and kind of transfer money, yeah, and learnings over the more or less non-existent boundaries between these countries.
I have one question. I'd like to hear more about like this kind of like mega trends, let's say digitalization and sustainability and everything. So basically, like, how do you see and forecast that? What is like the primary mega trend as, say, building up this kind of new ways of working? How do you see it?
So of course, this is something we could discuss for a fortnight, more or less, right? So difficult to answer that in 2 sentences. So generally speaking, the real estate industry, as you all know, has earned decent money over the last decades. And it was very easy, usually in the top European markets, at least, to earn this money. And so these systems have never been really optimized. All other industries, think of automotive industry, where all that new methodology, how project management is done, was kind of invented, yeah, with the Toyota principles and lean management and Six Sigma and so on and so forth. All these industries, consultants, private equity funds, etc., have optimized the structures again and again and again and again. And that hasn't happened in real estate before. And so this is, I think, the main reason why there is still such a massive potential, not just in digitization, but also in kind of modern management methodology, also in, for example, using branded real estate. Yeah, wow, what kind of innovation is that, to put a logo on a house? But that's an innovation in real estate, right? So this is why I really think it's easy, yeah, to find these kind of optimization potentials. And usually most of the startups I'm talking to are not, let's say, disruptive per se by taking away business from existing real estate companies, but they are supporting kind of the early adopters, yeah, in getting better. And then that's disruptive to the ones that are left behind, maybe, yeah, and fall out of the market. And I think on top of that trend, we now see substantial change in the work environment, not just in the work environment, but mainly because of COVID. So coming back to the office is something completely different, yeah, than before COVID, and that yeah, all the companies are kind of struggling with how the hybrid work environment looks like. And on top of that, you again have the mega trend of climate crisis and everything that comes with that. Yeah, so we have like 2 times the Marshall Plan in the Green New Deal on European level. Yeah, we have tons of new regulation coming up that if you don't adapt to it, will force you out of markets. Yeah. We have, let's say, cities like Paris suddenly, yeah, that wasn't the most, let's say, traffic-friendly city before, changing the system, how they lay out kind of the neighborhoods. Yeah, now a quarter in Paris looks more like an innovative thing from the Netherlands or maybe from the Nordics. Yeah, and all these trends are happening, and I think this is really putting the real estate ecosystem under immense pressure, and this is disruptive at the end. Yeah, and so if real estate doesn't change, a lot of the existing players that are now too busy still counting money, they will just fall off the market, out of the market in 5 years.
Henrik, you had a question?
No, it was about kind of the same as Tasha as well. Like, yeah, we've seen so many. Of course, we work a lot with the real estate investors, and formerly they had a home alone party here where they could buy shares in Spacemaker or the disruptive technologies for small tickets. But now I see more of the VCs are moving into the market, and that's probably healthy for some of the startups as well to get some money that could actually help them scale in a larger sense. So it's going to be fun to see how it is in a few years here in the market.
Absolutely. So I think we've been in the first inning now, and we're now entering a phase, also like the study Magnus referred to at the beginning, where it gets serious. And serious means that, for example, you see consolidation. Yeah. So you have tons of small startups that just offer a niche service, but the conservative customer wants to buy a full platform solution, right? So better than kind of being losing that customer to IBM, Siemens, whatsoever, yeah, because you don't get fired if you buy from IBM and Siemens. All these tiny startups should kind of group together, yeah, either API-wise or M&A-wise, yeah, to build platforms, for example. So I think that this is kind of a second inning situation, yeah, because the first inning was still kind of a playful, hey, let's go to an event as a real estate guy, let's go to an event and see some 20 startups and try something and test something, yeah. But now in the second stage, there must be real kind of return on investment. It gets serious. We need larger clusters. Also, the whole overall PropTech market, also looking at your deals, is slowly moving from a purely early stage cycle into an early stage plus later stage cycle. Yeah, some years ago, if you would set up a later stage fund, the investment universe would be like 10 companies across Europe. Yeah, nowadays, so the numbers look different. Yeah, so it's getting more mature as we speak, but it's not over the next 5 to 10 years. Yeah, I'm pretty sure we can all have good business, found good companies, have good exits over the next whatever 50 years in that segment.
I think the kind of the users of the PropTech products are also getting more professionalized. I spoke with one of the largest landlords here in Norway, and they said that, well, they are so tired of these tech guys coming with tech gadgets. This is the best solution for this thing, like you said, and they said that we don't want that. We want solutions. So just tell us our problem, say that you can fix it, and if you collaborate with 3 other startups, that's fine. Just like provide us with the solution for our problem, and not say that this is the best gadget of some kind in the world, but you have to develop your own software, because as they said, we're a big landlord, we're never going to develop our own software for this. We'll just
quite a few tries hard with Power BI.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
we can have different sessions for sure, going on for weeks, discussing point solution versus entire platform solutions. I have a hard, strong opinions about all those real estate people sitting on the panels saying that they want one system. I would say that will never happen, at least not efficient and with happy employees.
No,
If I start a company, it's like saying I want to start a company. I just want one employee.
No, I'm not saying that one startup should fix everything.
No.
They also should focus more on the solution than.
Oh, absolutely, Henrik. Absolutely.
It also,
yeah,
I think it also helps to look to other industries. Yeah, so the real estate industry sometimes thinks they are completely unique, but it's not true. Yeah, if you look at the financial industry, for example, digitization has happened, whatever, let's say 5 to 10 years before. And there is not a single bank that runs on one single software. That's just, as you said, impossible. But maybe there is now, let's say, a clever middleware system somewhere inside, yeah, that does with a business process engine and some cool stuff, so that you have a more kind of centralized, interwoven system. Yeah, and so this is, for example, why we invested in Thingit. They exactly do that for IoT real estate. Yeah, because you know there are tons of companies doing tiny sensors and different stuff. But who's integrating that, yeah, so that you can really use it, yeah, and so I think that's again, so it's normal cycles, yeah, and really, so PropTech is going through that cycle for the first time. Other industries have been through that cycle already, so we can transfer knowledge maybe from here or there, and still, of course, having in mind the specialties of that industry.
Yeah, one last question from the crowd to you, Nicholas, from Timo. How do you see when it comes to industrial funding? So for large companies, maybe real estate companies or industrial companies like Siemens, are you working together with them as having them as LPs or partners looking into new tech solutions?
Yeah, that's a great question. So first of all, we see compared to other, let's say, venture verticals, we see that in PropTech construction tech, a lot of industry investors or strategic investors are very active and also early on. So in other industries, you only see them kind of very late stage, pre-IPO whatsoever, right? Here we see them already early on. So I think that's a good sign. Yeah, so people are interested. Nevertheless, let's say as a founder, you always have to have in mind that a strategic investor has a strategic agenda. Surprise, yeah. So that's the meaning of the word, right? So don't expect them even to be able to say what their agenda is over the next 5 to 10 years. Yeah. So the guy or the girl you're talking to won't know it, because in corporates stuff changes. Maybe even the corporate is sold or whatsoever. So this is the tricky thing in working with strategic investors. A venture guy is a very simple one. Yeah. You can look up his business model on Wikipedia. So he just earns money on management fee and carried interest. And so he's super transparent what he wants. He just wants your company to grow and then sell the shares after whatever, 6 years, 8 years, whatever. That's it. No strings attached. Not a different agenda. Very, very clean cut model, right? And so as soon as you mix in other strategic agendas, it might get difficult, right? And so this is why I think, yes, it can have certain benefits if you are working together as a founder with a kind of industry or strategic investors. But maybe there are also some advantages if you take kind of neutral money, yeah, from an independent VC first. And of course, Magnus, as you said correctly, so we are raising also money for our funds from these guys, but then we act as a firewall in between. Yeah, so nobody from our LPs will ever have a say what's happening with a startup. Yeah, because we're investing in the startups that maybe are even disrupting, yeah, our LPs, and that's the concept. Yeah, so that's by definition what we're doing. But There can be occasions, yeah, where a strategic investor makes sense. So depends on the case.
Perfect. No, I think it's really important for anyone raising capital to actually reflect for what type of investor you're raising the capital. And there are different fits at different stages, but sometimes I'm slightly confused by people being too surprised what happened with a certain cap table going forward if you only have angel investors or only industry players and so on. Cool. Yep. I'm sorry, we need to move on. So the last point on this agenda is a quick roundabout for each of the associations. So what is happening under maybe new members or events coming up, and we have just a few minutes before we have to close down, so be quite quick. There we go. So maybe PropTech Denmark, what's on the horizon for the association as is?
Thank you very much. Actually, we have 2 events coming up that I'll mention. One is on the future of work and future of office. That's been really big interest on that. Not surprisingly, this is really the talk of the town in Denmark. So what's going on with the office? What's going on with the workspace? How do we create workspace experience in this new hybrid reality? A lot of the big employers in Denmark have already now said that they will cut down square meters, cut down traditional seatings, and go towards much more hybrid working. And some of them have even already now quit some of the contracts with real estate companies. So things are happening now, and we have an event coming up on that next week, Tuesday. Unfortunately, it's only physical. We have decided to make this physical, really to celebrate that we can network again. And then another one event, very much I think coming up on our discussion here. We'll have a workshop which is focused for PropTech startups in actually discussing partnership models, collaboration models, how to integrate solutions, exactly to make more integrated solutions and more valuable solutions for clients. So it's not will be standalone strange technical devices, because this is really a discussion we have started in the PropTech community here in Denmark also.
Cool.
No more. Next one.
Finland.
Yeah, really quick, just 2 dates. 17th September, Maria 01. Holding fingers, it will be physical. Meetup, get together, very casual, and some drinks and food. And 30th of November, Recatech, side event to Slush. Most probably hybrid, but some physical parts will be there. So that's it for Finland.
Thank you so much. And for anyone that doesn't know about Slush, it's a more general tech event, but it's probably the coolest tech event or any event you can actually visit in Finland or the globe. It's an absolutely amazing event, and I'm so happy to have the PropTech Recotech event just the day before. That is a perfect combination for anyone outside of the Nordic that needs a really good reason to travel to the Nordics in November, which is a challenge itself, but you can do it. So Norway.
Yes, and I second that. I think Recotech is probably the coolest PropTech event to go to, and Slush, of course, if you get that as well. So anyone, just go. But in Norway, we have now a collaboration with something called Oslo Urban Week, which is the largest real estate event here. It's like the Oslo Business Arena, but for real estate. And at the last day of the event, we have our own big PropTech party for invited people. So if anyone's around or in Norway, we'll just reach out to us. And then we are hosting a lot of different smaller events now going forward, and hopefully we can reintroduce our large scale events. But we didn't take a chance to this year, so we'll probably 2022 will be the first year to do a big PropTech Norway summit again. But I'm looking forward to it.
Cool. And a few updates from PropTech Sweden, since Roger is not here. I would say that everything around the business arena fair in 22nd to 23rd of September here in Stockholm. There will be a few get-arounds and so on, and I think everyone interested in the Swedish market, especially looking for end users, should be there. I think it will be a hybrid event. Also, the PropTech Sweden has published what they call the PropTech map on their website, so check it out. And if you're a Swedish PropTech company not listed there, reach out to the PropTech Sweden organization. And with that, I think we have for sure filled an hour of content, and I would love to be keeping an eye on the watch here. So I'm more than happy to say thank you to all the panelists and the guest speaker, Nikolai. Thank you so much for attending this, to all the attendees for being here. And as you heard from Nikolai, it's a good thing to have those Nordic approaches to the PropTech scene up here in the north. So I'm more than happy to invite you to the next one, what will be most probably will hold in some date in November. We will come back with that one. And also this webinar has been recorded. I will put it on the website in 3 weeks just to push people to actually attend it live. So with that, thank you so much, and see you soon.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.